Ennio Morricone passed away during the week, and we all know of him as one of the greatest film composers who ever lived. Incredibly prolific and creator of some of the most memorable music that ever graced the big screen, celebrated for his long-standing collaboration with Sergio Leone, which truly was a one-of-a-kind type of collaboration in the history of cinema, and for creating music for an endless number of films, including Cinema Paradiso, The Untouchables, The Hateful Eight, and countless others. I mean, I'm not just about to list all the memorable films that he worked on because it would take the full length of the show. Of course, The Hateful Eight was the film that he finally won the Oscar for a handful of years ago, after actually getting an honorary one in 2007. And it's kind of crazy to think that he could have been one of those important figures to have never won one of those god-awful statuettes, but especially given the fact that he truly helped elevate the status of film music to something that suited the tastes of both the highbrow audiences and the pop audiences. That's very rare indeed for a film composer. One of the interesting facts about him is that while composing and conducting was his favoured occupation, he was also a brilliant trumpeter. And in his early years, he played jazz in various ensembles, especially in and around Rome. And you would think that a guy like him would have no time for improvisation. But actually, he worked with a major ensemble for 2 decades that specialized in avant-garde experimental music. That group was named Gruppo di Improvvisazione Nuova Consonanza, which comprised other celebrated composers of the 60s through the 80s from Italy. In fact, I believe that his work with this particular group is what inspired the amazing opening sequence from Once Upon a Time in the West, a close collaboration between Ennio Morricone and Sergio Leone that represents time coming to a standstill, the power of which is not only represented by the images, but also by the sounds, which constructs a kind of a unique experience that was very unusual to see in a major motion picture of the time. By the way, Once Upon a Time in the West, I would consider my personal favorite film of all time. I'm not sad about his passing. The man lived a great life and was active until the very end, which, by the way, came at 91 years of age. Not bad. In fact, he must also have died a good death, surrounded by the people he loved, proved by the fact that he was able to write his own short obituary right before his death. You don't hear of that happening much, do you? So, by all means, it sounds to me that he lived a great life, celebrated as an international treasure, particularly by his own country of origin, Italy, which also happens to be my country of birth. And I'm sure that many streets will be named after him over the next few years in that country, and I'm also quite certain that several Ennio Morricone statues will be erected around the world, hopefully replacing some of the more controversial ones, let's say. I'm not going to give you a biographical account of the man and his art on this show because I feel that has been done extensively, but I do have to say that his music meant quite a lot to me personally. I mean, I do believe that in our lifetime, we grow to love the works of countless artists, but that there are finally only a few who really become a part of us. And for me, Morricone was one of them. Not only because it's the music of the birth of my own cinephilia, but because it helped me connect with my own father, who also shared a love for spaghetti westerns and Ennio Morricone at large. It was in fact one of the few things that we could agree on. And so I did get to see him a handful of years ago live in Dublin. And despite the fact that I was sitting at the back, and it was an outdoors gig, so it was raining, it being Ireland, it was a deeply powerful experience for me. I remember at some point, while his orchestra played the main theme of Cinema Paradiso, I was so overwhelmed by memories that I just cried. And so now I'm going to play that same composition. Let's sit back relax, and let our minds wander.